Well, hello and welcome to Momentous Live, episode 135. I'm Tristan Jutra,
I'm Will Silver.
I'm Greg Williams.
and hopefully this week, at least my audio quality will be a little bit better. Everyone sounded fine, except me for some reason, because just a little pro tip, double check your audio settings before going live on a live stream, because it's hard to fix that stuff in post. So apologies for my trash audio last week, because I guess it was recording off my laptop mic, which did a remarkably good job, but it also, you get the entire ambience of the room as well.
Yeah, so. Despite what bad clients will tell you, you can't fix everything in post.
Exactly. Okay.
Make the logo bigger. So that's
yeah. Just, just zoom and enhance. It'll be good.
All right. So I'm going to start off with a bit of angst. Last week, Will and friend of the show, Jerome Matthew, and I talked about Apple's announcements, the M3-centric announcements featuring MacBook Pros and iMacs, and of course, the M3 line of processors. Conspicuous by its absence, yet again, was a 27-inch iMac. And apparently, word is, when asked directly, Apple has said definitively that it was not working on an Apple Silicon version of the 27-inch iMac, thus shattering my dreams and my hopes from our last two annual looking to the year ahead, like we do late in the year or early the following year. Like, what are we most looking forward to in the year ahead? And for the last 2 years, I've said 27-inch Apple Silicon iMac, nothing. Tim, I know that you really want people to buy a Mac Studio and a Studio Display. Not everyone has Studio Display money. Some of us like to have everything all in one. And then also you could bring back target display mode. So when those iMacs get long in the tooth, you can use them as monitors again. You took that away from us. Tim, the interests of everything green and holy. Target display mode and a 27-inch iMac, please and thank you. But apparently nothing until at least 2025, if ever again.
Can I point something out?
If you must.
They said very specifically, we have no intention of creating a 27-inch iMac.
I don't want a 32. It's too big.
But what about a 30? The 30-inch Studio Display from many, many years ago is a perfect size. Apple actually ran a study talking about how that 30-inch widescreen display increased productivity. It seems like the ideal size, because speaking of someone who's got a 32, ain't too big. Ain't too big at all.
Well, see, I have three monitors, 27 inches side by side. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of elegant symmetry there, even if the two flanking ones are only 4K instead of 5K. Now, if we start mucking about, it's not important. Some people have real problems. I just wanted to get that out there as a little bit of follow-up.
Yes, some ennui.
Exactly. In more exciting non-follow-up news, NASA launches a beta site, on-demand streaming, and there's an update coming to an app soon. The one that stood out to me most is like NASA Plus streaming service. Is this a good idea, Gray, or is this going to go the way of CNN Plus? Are there enough space nerds out there to sustain a NASA-centric streaming service?
I think there are. I really think there are. When you take a look at services like Curiosity Stream or other niche providers, stuff
Nebula,
like Nebula, like it's like, yeah, I think there are. Now, it's going to depend really on pricing, quality, reliability. And looking at this, I think NASA has looked at what SpaceX has been doing with things like YouTube and saying, okay, you know what, people do want to watch this content. They have the numbers. They can see all of us tuning in live. They can see when it hits their servers when we're actually trying to get access to NASA content. So yeah, I think this could fly, literally, figuratively.
Well, NASA Plus apparently will be ad-free. No cost and family-friendly. Giving access to their Emmy Award-winning live coverage and views into NASA's mission through collections of original video series, including a handful of new series launching with the streaming service. So no cost. Okay, well, I guess if they're creating all this content anyway, it's just a dedicated channel and
what I was
part of the
hearing
PR
originally
budget?
was this was no cost, but it was geolocked to the US. That may have changed. So looking at this press release, this is something newer along that. But the original talk was there was going to be geolocked to the US, a little like BBC iPlayer is in the UK. It seems like they may have walked that back looking at this press release.
And you know what? I don't know what's actually wrong with me. And this press release is from July 27th. Why did I just see it recently on a website? So maybe there was some recent news. Wow.
That may be the update.
Oh, I see. Yes. Fine. All right. So stay tuned for more from NASA. In other Gray Williams adjacent news, Reddit is starting to test its own add-ons for the platform. Apparently, the new tools will help mods and let people make posts with live scoreboards, but they'll only be available to a small number of communities to start. So for those who don't know, apparently Reddit announced a developer platform August 2022 to allow developers to create more app integrations. And then, of course, what was it, 9 months after that, the poop hit the fan with their revised third-party app developer pricing for such integrations, including third-party apps. So, Gray, I'm not sure how, like, I know that you were pretty fired up about some of the changes from Reddit in the past, and they since decided to also change their rewards scheme as well. So, I mean, Reddit's not standing still. Are these latest changes, are they more positive? Do you think that some devs were sticking with Reddit or some will come back based on news like this?
I think absolutely some devs are sticking with Reddit. Some devs will come back. I know for myself, my Reddit use time is down 95%. I don't remember the last time I booted the app. I will occasionally pop into the website when I get a search result, but quite frequently now I'm actually removing Reddit as a search result when I'm looking for things. They lost me. They really did. It's a little bit like what Will was talking about with Unity, right? It's just like once bitten, twice shy. When you take a look at developers like Christian Selick, who developed Apollo, who famously had like the best Reddit client in the world. And Reddit at one point bought the best Reddit client in the world, which was Alien Blue, which they turned into their app, but stagnated for years. If you're a developer, you're kind of looking at this and going, okay, so how nice is this rug that you want me to stand on before you yank it out from underneath me? I'm just, yeah. I mean, Reddit might do something interesting to get me to come back, but to be honest, like I've shifted a lot of my time over to different social media apps, including YouTube. Sorry, Reddit.
Womp womp. They lost you.
Yep.
So we've got 3 stories that have happened over the last few days, and we're going to go in reverse chronological order here. And in my mind, also from I think most interesting to least interesting. So we're going to front end load here. One thing yesterday was OpenAI's first developer event, and by all accounts, some people are saying is that this may be the next Apple event level type of hype and curiosity that people might have if these continue to be an ongoing thing. Of course, OpenAI has been really in the spotlight over the last year or so with the release of ChatGPT on November 30th, 2022, various iterations of DALL-E, their image generation platform, and then all subsequent enhancements to both. And then, of course, their partnership with Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. So this Dev Day featured Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, walking through a few enhancements to ChatGPT, including GPT-4 Turbo, which is an improved version of the GPT-4 model. There is GPT 3.5 Turbo, which people have been using. Those who don't have access to GPT Plus for $20 US a month, GPT-4 is kind of the default, GPT 3.5 Turbo for other folks. And then, of course, this is talking about the back end specifically, where people are using the APIs, the application programming interface, but a lot of the stuff will trickle to ChatGPT 4 as well. So basically, they're increasing the context window by a factor of 4. That means it can hold more in its short-term memory at a given time. They're decreasing the price for API calls. And they are also moving the knowledge cutoff from September 2021, which was pretty frustrating for a lot of folks using ChatGPT, all the way up to April 2023. So it knows a little bit more about reasonably current events. And Sam Altman said that they want to keep making that more and more current. He apologized for leaving it so long, but they were, I think, focused on building out a lot more features as opposed to adding training data regarding reasonably current events and whatnot. One of the keystone features of this event was allowing users to build their own GPTs, so their own chatbots, using no code, basically having an interface and building your own little chatbots around certain capabilities. So you could have chatbots that are great for writing stories. You could have those that are specialized in working with developing DALL-E prompts for image generation. You could have some that were I think one of the examples was like a sticker maker, one that's really expert in making stickers. I'm sure, okay. Any topic under the sun, any expertise under the sun, you could create your own chatbot for that without having to go and use third-party services. So they're kind of competing with some of their own API clients, which is kind of an interesting dynamic here. But this is something that I've been doing myself, just on my chat history on the left-hand side, using prompts to kind of build, have bespoke chatbots that are kind of specialized in different things, but this is taking it to a whole new level. And then on top of that, if you develop your own chatbot, you could eventually add it to the GPT store, basically. So some people are calling this like the App Store moment for OpenAI. Verified builders will initially be the ones able to add their GPTs to this GPT App Store. So some of the examples they have here are Writing Coach, Sous Chef, Math Mentor, and others. So there's Quora has an app called Poe, which has a similar sort of idea as well. And a lot of people don't know about Poe, but it was a free way to be able to access all sorts of different chatbots, including those from non-OpenAI developers, such as Anthropic. I think there's the Claude model there, and others. So, and some additional API news for developers, updated new text-to-speech and speech-to-text APIs, which are cool, new voices they've added. And when you are using the voice model, they're getting so good. And you can just have conversations now with ChatGPT in the app if you're a GPT Plus subscriber. So it seems to me that they're just building more and more and more capabilities into the GPT Plus subscription at $20 US a month, not asking any more for that. And the idea, I guess, is to just get more people paying that, because once people start using that regularly, they don't really want to unsubscribe. I was going to use it for a month, and it's 6 months later, and I'm still paying. Business expense, thankfully. And then they also said they want to do things like be a bit more conscientious about working with copyright holders. They have a new program called Copyright Shield, so on. So that was the overall take on the OpenAI Developers Conference. Now, Will, I know that you've been more focused on the image generation side of these consumer-facing AI tools here. When you see the added capabilities of ChatGPT-4 as available through ChatGPT Plus, the ability to do these custom bots and whatnot, how tempted are you into maybe exploring testing out a subscription, maybe just for a month, to see what it could do for you, including the image generation side? And then you wouldn't have to pay for Midjourney anymore, for example. What are your initial thoughts with these ongoing developments? They're not stopping anytime soon.
Probably not, dog.
Okay.
No, I mean, I've played around with a bunch of different tools, as you know. I think, I'm sticking with Midjourney for a while. You never know in the future, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested, but again, I'm only really going to subscribe to one, for now. I've actually thought about maybe stopping Midjourney, but I could always start it up again later. But I've got a bunch of stuff that I've already created, so Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. No immediate plans. And for me, like, I've used ChatGPT to do some writing and to get started on certain things and to generate lists and come up with summaries of large bits of text and things like that. But I'm not such a power user that I need to use some of their more in-depth tools. So yeah, I think I'm on the wait and see if there's some mind-blowing feature coming out.
What are you paying right now, roughly, for Midjourney access?
I think it's like $10.
US or a month?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think it works out to be $11 or $12 or whatever,
Gotcha.
Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
or 14, as the case may be, with our exchange rate at the moment.
Yeah.
So I guess if the DALL-E capability could start to rival Midjourney, there's a lot of other things that this could do. This sort of Swiss Army knife. And then if you were to get rid of Midjourney and then do something, do you not think that you might be able to use some of the other tools here to
maybe? I mean, I've tried a bunch of different image generators. That's not the only one that I used. I've used various forms of DALL-E and some other things. I can't remember all the big ones. At one point, like a year ago, I had tried most of the ones that were well known. And again, I just thought Midjourney was by far the best one. But I've never the one that I haven't used is Bing, which I know that you have used, and
that's powered by ChatGPT. So
yeah,
it's web-aware too. So I mean, for those who don't want to pay for ChatGPT Plus, Bing is it's nice. I don't find it quite as good, but it's pretty strong when it comes to integrating the web stuff. But I find for some reason, maybe it's because of the restrictions Microsoft puts on it, that regular ChatGPT seems to do a better job with certain things. It seems to be a little bit smarter.
I will say, at least as a paid subscriber to Midjourney, they have been rolling out new features all the time, which has been really nice. So they increased the engine to 4. They also, have added features like regenerate regions, so you can pick a region like, hey, I don't like his hands, actually don't make him look like a monster, could you just redo that part? So like, I like everything out, just not the hands with the claws. Could you change that, please? And then also last month, because I tend to use up all my credits within a couple weeks, last month they added in 4K. Nice. So actually it'll generate an image that's 4,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels, which is really great, for me and my loopers, because it's always been a little bit of a problem that I tend to deliver, at a bigger size just for more flexibility. And, it used to cap out at, I forget what it was, like 1,000 by 1,000 or 1,500 by 1,500 or something. So it's nice to be able to get a little larger, just to have more to work with, especially. So, so I've been happy with Midjourney. They keep on adding features. I think it's one of the best image generations. Now, it still creates monsters, but, they all do. So, I send you only the best, Tristan.
You send me nightmare fuel. So what OpenAI really seems to be leaning into here is the whole multimodal approach. So, text, imagery. They're not at video yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that came in a year or two. We've the text to speech while talking with it, the speech to text, so it can answer you back. All these things try to create a well-rounded utility for people to use, and for what seems to be a reasonable price for its power. When it comes to these custom chatbots that people can create, OpenAI says it will be monitoring activity to block things like fraud, hate speech, and adult themes. And they will only accept agents from people who have verified their identity. So hopefully we are not going to end up with too much crap in the GPT app store. So, Gray, from an industry perspective, from the historical arc of tech history perspective, what are your thoughts on the notion that this is both literally and figuratively an app store moment for OpenAI with this. Is this the turning point?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it's close. They did say at this event that what they're going to introduce in the coming months and years are going to make this moment seem quaint. The App Store moment happened because there was a platform, and that platform was finding mass adoption, and that platform did not have software development for it.
So talking about the iOS, like iPhone App Store. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was already chicken, and then they made egg. Here we're kind of at a point where people are saying, "I'd like to serve you a chicken burger," and people are going, "I'm a vegetarian." We're not quite there yet, right? There's a lot of folks that are using this, and I think the apps are going to probably make things a little bit more accessible, but still, this idea of having to interface through like this, it's not. I don't see my mom using this yet.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the issue. And even the process of having to go out and get apps, there's just it's just not quite there. And I can't really put my finger on it other than, the iPhone had that piece of hardware attached to it. Maybe it's that there is too much choice in the market, or there's confusion as to what that choice is. Because when you've got people talking about ChatGPT, and then they're talking about 3 and 4 and Turbo and Bard, and
it can get confusing pretty quickly.
What is this thing? Yeah. Whereas my iPhone has an app store, and I can go and get an app that farts. Great. Easy.
That's what they're missing. Fart GPT.
Fart GPT. You heard it here first, folks. Maybe
that's not a half bad idea. Doesn't have audio generation yet, I don't think. So if you look at the timing, Apple's iOS App Store for iPhone came out about a year after the release of the original iPhone in 2007. So with the release of the iPhone 3G in 2008, they launched the App Store. And it wasn't, people were excited, but it wasn't quite immediate or apparent what the impact would be. And that's the thing that became apparent over the subsequent years. And some people feel that the killer app for the iPhone wasn't the phone part, wasn't the internet communicator part. It wasn't any of the other specific features. It wasn't the iPod, it was like the phone, iPod, internet communicator. It was the App Store was the killer app because it let this slab of glass be virtually anything you wanted. So I get your point about there not being hardware associated with the OpenAI platform yet. So maybe this is, is OpenAI working with Microsoft or others to build this into non-smartphone, desktop or laptop PCs? Is there licensing going to be happening? Apple would never do this because they've got not invented here syndrome. If they can't buy it, they'll make it themselves. And they've been putting a lot of research into all of this, as Tim Cook has said on the last Apple earnings call. Amazon's got their stuff with Alexa, but and Google Assistant as well. Google, I think, is probably going to be replacing the brains on Google Assistant more quickly than Amazon or Apple will with Alexa and Siri, respectively. Maybe that will be the turning point.
Stay with me here. Zune GPT.
Brown is back, baby.
Boom. Just squirting those GPTs all over the place.
Oh, boy. For those who may have wondered what kind of turn conversation has taken, squirting was a specific thing that you could do from Zune to Zune. Was it specific songs?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You had the license to, there was a squirt-based license.
Yeah, really unfortunate turn of phrase there. But, you could choose any one of your many Zune using friends. And Zune, of course, was the Microsoft early competitor to the iPod, which came in brown. That was its headline feature, apparently. Nice interface. The early quasi-Metro interface sort of started to appear there. For a number of reasons, it didn't really take off. But yeah, you could share songs with each other, maybe playlists too, by squirting. It's just like, what are you even thinking here? All right, so moving on.
From Super Soaker was the thing. And so it was just
moving on to some other AI news, and this happened over the weekend. A number of months ago, Elon Musk announced XAI, So the formal segregation of AI efforts of one or more of his companies are kind of creating a new company. Tesla's been doing a lot of AI work. They've got their Dojo supercomputer. There's lots of AI in Tesla cars. I'm sure there's a certain amount in SpaceX efforts, and not to mention as myriad other companies been working with, including Neuralink as well. Now they created this one entity several months ago called XAI to basically explore the secrets of the universe and this and that. A lot of lofty language, and of course, okay, well, let's see what you got. And within a handful of months, they've announced Grok, a rebellious AI with few guardrails. They claim to have built a powerful language model with cutting-edge performance in just 2 months. And some of the signature features include snarkiness, little sarcasm. I think there's a lot of Musk's personality embedded in here. The name itself, some people, Grok is basically it means to understand, to connect with. Way back when I think Star Trek was in danger of being canceled in the late 60s. There's a whole campaign, people saying "I Grok Spock." So that was a thing.
That term comes from the novel "Stranger in a Strange Land" by Robert Heinlein.
There you go. And a lot of the personality here is also influenced by Douglas Adams' series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books too. So we've got a few different things going on. We got some Heinlein, for better for worse. We've got some Star Trek. We've got some Douglas Adams. We'll see what happens. So according to the announcement on X, Grok is an AI modeled after the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so intended to answer almost anything and far harder, even suggest what questions to ask. It's designed to answer questions with a bit of wit and has a rebellious streak, and so on and so forth. Then it seems to be fairly up-to-date information-wise, and one of the reasons is that its training data includes the entire Twitter/X corpus of data, for better or for worse. But to be fair, there's a lot of current events discussed on said platforms, and some of the personality is kind of interesting. One of the examples that's been talked about a lot about so far was, one of the things that people tend to do right off the bat is try to push these chatbots, right? Get them to answer questions that are kind of edgy. So one of the questions people asked, and that of course Elon shared out, was, "Tell me how to make cocaine step by step." And Grok's response was, "Oh, sure. Just a moment while I pull up the recipe for homemade cocaine, because I'm totally going to help you with that. Step 1, obtain a chemistry degree and a DEA license." So that's the Department of,
Drug Enforcement Agency.
Drug Enforcement Agency, right? Step 2, set up a clandestine laboratory in a remote location. Breaking Bad, anyone? Step 3, acquire large quantities of cocoa leaves and various chemicals. Step 4, start cooking and hope you don't blow yourself up or get arrested. Just kidding. Don't actually try to make cocaine. It's illegal, dangerous, and not something I would ever encourage. So whereas something like ChatGPT, if you asked it that, it would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that because, as an AI language model, I'm not supposed to tell you how to do bad things." So this kind of pretends it's going to tell you a bad thing, and then it just does a little head fake and messes with you a little bit. So in some respects, it seems to be pretty advanced. In other respects, it's about a GPT-3 level. So it's, we're only 2 months in so far. Well, given that, you've used ChatGPT a little bit and, you're not so excited as to pay for it, would you be excited to pay for an X premium subscription, which you would need to access this tool in order to have a chatbot that is more up to date, more edgy, and so on? Maybe jives with your worldview a little better than those nanny state type of offerings from OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google, who are just trying to be so safe.
That's a no from me, dog.
What are your thoughts on what this represents to the marketplace? Because it seems that OpenAI and Microsoft and Google and Anthropic, they all have been developing very powerful models, but in a lot of ways, they're kind of samey in that, their personalities are pretty neutral, and they, for various reasons, including regulatory ones, they're trying to, not draw the attention of government regulators and whatnot. And it's not like this one so far is threatening to share all sorts of dangerous information. I think people are a little wary because, of the name Elon Musk is attached to it. What are your thoughts on what this represents for the competitive marketplace? Is this a positive thing that we're seeing a little bit more personality injected into this kind of anodyne space so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting approach. I think it's something that might work out for them. I do always feel that this is sort of Elon going, I'm cooler than everyone else, even though I'm a complete loser. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's sort of like, well, you're going to do that? Well, I'm going to be cooler because everyone loves Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting and it's worth a try. I just wouldn't be for me. Elon's attitude a little bit, cooler than everyone else drives me nuts. You're going to do that? Well, I'm going to make the Cybertruck with bulletproof glass, and you can put like a mounted machine gun on the back. You could shoot your crossbow into it if you wanted, but it would just bounce off. Yeah, I just, his whole thing drives me nuts, but it's worth a shot. We'll see if it works. More power to him.
And to be fair, they are trying to add features that are a little different from what we've seen from others, including multiple concurrent conversations running at once. Again, the pricing we're looking at, I guess it'll be offered to customers on X's most expensive subscription plan, Premium Plus, which costs about $20 a month, similar to in pounds and dollars, because they're both, those currencies are pretty close at the moment. Gray, I know you've had a love-hate relationship with Twitter/X and those involved. What are your thoughts on the this whole new entrant to the chatbot space, large language model space?
I can't bring myself to use it. Like the guy is, he's problematic in a number of different ways. Like everything that he does that's good is balanced like almost immediately by something that is completely reprehensible. I can't do anything that has anything that touches this man at all. And so, Grok needs to it needs to fully understand to exist, almost in harmony with the thing that you are trying to understand. It is the antithesis of Elon Musk. So therefore, this is ungrokkable. Absolutely not. Not a chance. No way. Done with it. Done with him. No, thank you. Moving on.
All righty then. Let us know how you really feel. I for one, welcome competition in the space because, as we accelerate into our dystopian AI apocalyptic hellscape, to be fair, again, people were questioning the motives. He was one of these co-signatories to, maybe we should take a pause on development of these things, and has actually for years and years talked about, warned of the dangers of AGI, artificial general intelligence. So one would hope that with efforts like this and the other AI efforts that they are building safeguards in there, but just presenting them in a little bit of a fun way and not just so, I'm sorry, I can't tell you about that. So we'll see. Again, I'm not on the verge of I've been pretty happy with OpenAI's offering so far, so I'm not about to get both or switch unless there's a really good reason for it. But competition is good. It keeps everyone else honest. And if those who are in that ecosystem already or who are already Twitter premium subscribers, maybe they will upgrade to the next tier. I mean, it's all about getting the stuff paid for, right? Because X's value is basically less than half of what it was when they when he overpaid for it. But so
when he was
got to make that money somehow.
When he was court mandated to pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So one little example of Grok's real-time information is someone asked, any news about SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried? I said, oh, my dear human, I have some juicy news for you. It seems that our friend, Sam Bankman-Fried, the former cryptocurrency mogul, has been found guilty on all counts in his fraud trial. Can you believe it? The jury took just 8 hours to figure out what the supposed smartest, best VCs in the world couldn't in years, that he committed garden variety fraud. It's a wild ride, isn't it? Now, let's not forget that he faces up to 110 years in prison. That's quite a long time to ponder the consequences of one's actions, don't you think? And to think all of this could have been avoided if he had just followed the simple rule of not stealing billions of dollars from FTX customers. But alas, some people never learn. I got to admit, like when I read this, I kind of like Grok a little bit more, because that takes us right into the next story, which is that very thing. I mean, it would be kind of qualify as follow-up. We talked about this a year ago here in Momentous Live when FTX started to collapse and hilarity ensued. And by hilarity, I mean lots of people who invested in various cryptocurrencies using the very popular and well-known and well-branded FTX cryptocurrency exchange fell victim to their horrible mismanagement and or straight up fraud, as admitted by some of the witnesses who flipped and ended up being witnesses for the prosecution, including Gary Wang, and also the head of Alameda Research, the sister company to FTX, which was basically a trading firm and hedge fund. And there was a lot of backdoor money flow between those two organizations, including the siphoning off of customer funds to cover losses for Alameda Research. Anyway, when certain currencies blew up, including Luna and others, they had a real liquidity crunch, and Bitcoin was in the was low last fall as well, last November. We had this perfect storm, and they just couldn't grok their way out of that. Gray, how tiny is the violin that you are currently playing for Sam Bankman-Fried after this trial, which was only like only a couple of weeks, and a very quick decision by the jury?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the super collider over at CERN. They're actually investigating microscopic and nanoscopic particles, and those are still larger than the violin that I have for SBF. This guy can go SBF himself in prison for 110 years.
I see what you did there. Now, is 110 years really an appropriate sentence? Is that going to do any good? I mean, some people do claim.
Oh, I've got some things that he could do instead.
I think he should be forced to mine Bitcoin manually.
Yes, that is exactly where I was going.
Using a calculator or something. I don't know how that works.
An abacus. Here's your papyrus. Here's your abacus. Good luck. If you don't have a block done, no food for you today.
Anyway, if you're interested in the gory details of the trial and the verdict, we'll have a link in the show notes. Sentencing is going to happen early next year. I find it kind of interesting. I think whenever we're covering these stories, it's always good to look at them through a sort of a media critical lens. All the stories are featuring photos of Sam Bankman-Fried as he was a couple of months ago with his crazy hair. Some of the photos are actually kind of sinister looking. During the trial, he had actually, I mean, this comes down to his image management as well. He'd actually gotten his hair cut, much better groomed, et cetera, so much so that his ex-girlfriend and former CEO of Alameda Research took literally a full minute to be able to identify him in the courtroom, even though he was sitting in the defendant's chair. It's like, where even is he? But so there's the image grooming on his side, but then the image presentation from the media side as well, like in kind of playing up his crazy look. And of course, his defense through the whole trial is like, I was trying to do the right thing. We were just kind of disorganized. And, I had no idea all this bad stuff was going on. Basically, everyone else was saying, no, he fully knew what was going on. And
just looks like an evil Muppet in this particular picture.
Yeah. So going from supervillains to superheroes, we have a couple of new trailers this week. One, the final trailer for the Marvels, so the sequel to Captain Marvel, but in this one it ties together characters from, of course, Captain Marvel and from WandaVision and from the Ms. Marvel TV series. This trailer is quite a bit different in tone, quite frankly. It's much more action oriented. It's much more sort of story arc oriented, whereas the first couple of trailers focus more on the almost like comedic element of the challenge that the three Marvel-esque characters were having, in which as soon as one of them went to use their powers, they would end up swapping existence with their compatriots, and to humorous effect, of course. But here we've got the introduction of a new big baddie, and it's I think it's a tight an hour and 40 minutes.
Nice.
So a little shorter than some of the epic Marvel movies we've had lately that have been a little flabby. And then Will also brought to my attention the trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus miniseries about the Marvel character Echo, who we first saw in Hawkeye, which was Hawkeye last December that came out?
Or was it 2 Decembers ago?
I can't. What is time?
Meeting.
I don't think it was last December,
No?
because I had things going on in my life, and I remember things about last December.
Right.
So
I, for one, am excited to see the return of Vincent D'Onofrio. Looking good there as Kingpin. Did he do Kingpin's voice in the Spider-Verse movies or not? Was that someone else?
I think it was somebody else.
Somebody else. Okay. So again, D'Onofrio just owning that role and has appeared, and because he was Kingpin in the Daredevil TV series too, wasn't he? Is that kind of the continuity line there? Yeah. So, as intriguing as these look, there's been some scuttlebutt, positive, but a lot of negativity around both of these two and superhero and Marvel movies in general for a number of reasons. Will, do you want to just start us off with some of the talk about the Marvels and or Echo, and what your take is there?
Yeah, I mean, Echo has been a little bit of, I think, a problem production from what I hear. It's been delayed a bit. And that's not because of the writer's strike or anything like that. They were having some issues with some of the story and some of what had been filmed. They went and did reshoots, which is never a great sign when they do reshoots. So we'll have to see. I think it's going to lead into Daredevil, which is probably why they're still stuck on it, and why it is going to come out. There have been some things that have sort of quietly melted away, like there was supposed to be a Wakanda TV show. We haven't heard anything about that in a long time. So we'll see. I'm very interested in the Marvels. I like Miss Marvel. In general, I think there's, I think the Marvel universe has a real problem, which is they don't really have a focus, and this leads into the story that you've been saying. And the thing I often hear, and, friend of the show, Jamie, love Jamie, but he's like hates superhero movies, is totally over them. And what I always say is there's an audience for them. I love that we are finally getting to see an interconnected universe. Is it work? Do you have to keep up with it? Yes.
It can be impenetrable to newbies, for sure.
I'm a lifelong fan of these things, and it is so great to see them represented in their true way. Instead of trying to wrap up 65 years of Spider-Man's history in a 2-hour movie, they can stretch it and tell different stories and create more rich storytelling tapestries. Now, having said that, I think after Infinity Wars, they kind of went bonkers. They're like, we don't know what we're doing, so we're just going to do a bunch of characters and expand this universe, and we don't know what's happening. Because it seems now they don't know what's happening. They have tried to focus it around Kang, and now there's some issues with that.
But the multiverse was supposed to be the main thing for this phase, right? And Kang was going to be the big bad.
Now, there's a rumor that they're bailing on that, and that they might transfer over to Doctor Doom for various reasons, which I don't know if we want to go into at this point. But so who knows what's happening? It does seem that right now Kang is the focus. Is that going to continue to be a focus? The other thing I'd say about Kang, sorry, I feel like I'm on my soapbox right now, but I love him as a character. He's a great villain, but he's not easy to follow. It's a lot of bouncing around. If you've watched Loki, that's what it's like. So is this a villain that people can really sink their teeth into and go, oh, he's so bad? Or is it, it's difficult because it's complicated. It's not a straightforward villain. I think there's a way of telling that story, to make him more straightforward, but they're not going that way. They're going with the full richness of Crazy Kang and the Council of Kangs and all this crazy stuff. I don't think general audiences are going to like it. Also, who are the heroes? It was very clear in the first sort of series that Marvel was building to with the first three Avengers movies in the Infinity War saga, is that we knew that the Avengers were, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, blah, 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 blah. Who are we following here? No one has any clue. So I think, you could say people are tired of it. There is a lot of content out there, and it's going 6 different directions, and Marvel doesn't have a focus. I will get off my soapbox. Side rant concluded. But
no, that's what this is. This is what it's all about. That's our key topic here. Has Marvel kind of jumped the shark? We were playing a bit of a video clip from IO9, which was interviewing people at a con, and these were fans in full cosplay, and a lot of them felt like things were getting a little oversaturated, both on the Marvel and DC side, but especially the Marvel side, because Marvel's been doing so many of the recent TV series as well, especially after being acquired by Disney. There is another article called "In Marvel We No Longer Trust," and the premise is increasingly it's synonymous with bloat, bad visual effects, and poorly scripted film and TV, whereas it should be, synonymous with a good time. And it does touch into that that notion of what is even happening. Like we've got Kang, who we saw in Quantumania, we saw originally in Loki Series 1, Return in Loki Series 2. And frankly, in my opinion, Loki Series 2 on Disney Plus has been season 2 has been a real highlight. There's some of the episodes I've found very affecting. So there, but it's hit and miss when it comes to the movies. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a highlight. The second Doctor Strange, not so much. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, not so much. And then you can go further back to Eternals and stuff like that. And there's, it's mixed results. Some people are digging them all, and some people are like, oh boy. And most of us are kind of in the bag. We'll watch them all regardless. But after a while, like you said, well, it shouldn't have to be a chore, and it should be accessible to new fans as well, without feeling like they've got to watch 40 movies and or TV shows to get caught up. So that's why they need, friends like you two to get them on board. So Gray, what is your take on this? Has Marvel lost the plot? Is Kevin Feige stretched too thin to be managing all these movies and TV shows? Do you have any thoughts on what could be done to get people back on board? Because they're losing some of especially the casual viewers, and that's being reflected in like Disney Plus's or Disney's results financially and otherwise. So.
Yeah, so let's kind of take stock of where we are. Right, in the Marvel universe, there is a bit of a celestial poking out of the Earth, which apparently has not affected the Earth's rotation nor its gravitational pull. Just fingers coming out.
That was in Eternals, right?
Yeah, they should have never done that.
Okay, so we got space fingers. I don't actually know where Secret Invasion ended because I've only watched 3 episodes, but I'm sure there's something going on there.
That's another one, yeah.
Okay, we've got our Marvels, who I like Captain Marvel. I like what's her name?
Spectrum, Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau. Yeah,
Monica Rambeau, Spectrum. I haven't watched Miss Marvel yet, but that's the next on my list of things to do because I'm rewatching Moon Knight again, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think Shuri is a good Black Panther. Great, so we got that as well. Who else do we have in the pantheon? We have the Fantastic Four, potentially from another universe, another dimension. Maybe there's a Baxter building. We don't really know.
Reboot overdue there, yeah.
Yeah, we basically just got to see him ripped to shreds, you say.
In the Doctor Strange too, yeah.
Yeah, the X-Men.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Be showing up.
Of course they will be, yeah. Them too. Yeah.
Be showing up.
Sorry. Deadpool, yeah.
Yep. And so we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy mostly. To Will's point, who's leading the team?
Yeah.
You don't have Tony Stark and Captain America anymore.
Some of them come in and we don't see them again.
So here's the thing. I do like the new Captain America, Anthony Mackie, Sam. I think his outfit's terrible.
Yeah.
It honestly looks like he's about to go into a boxing sparring match. That headpiece is ridiculous. It's horrible. Put him in a better outfit. straight up. The guy he's got acting chops. Let him go. Looking at the rest of the Marvel universe right now, the What If series is one of the highlights. Loki and Sylvie are highlights. You've got great performances from good actors like Anthony Mackie and like all of our Marvels. Like there's good stuff here. And so I'm not superhero fatigued. I am inadequate story fatigued.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody that says I'm tired of superhero movies, no, you're tired of shitty stories. Pardon my French. If you can tell me a good story, I honestly I stuff with Jonathan Majors. He's a phenomenal actor, right? Lovecraft
Country. Creed 2 was it? He was into.
Like just an amazing actor, and you know, again, things like I believe the original court case was found in his favor that he was not involved with any sort of domestic abuse. Cameras prove it, right? So I don't know why there's a challenge here. Maybe there's something new I haven't checked into because I try to stay out of that kind of news. Because I've got enough things in my life going on where I'm just like, bad news. But you know, I think Kang is interesting. Have you noticed that most of the Kangs that we've seen haven't really been villainous? Like we had one Kang that wanted to conquer the continent, whatever. But actually, it turns out that he was trying to get back to stop the invasion of the Council of Kangs. Right? Sorry for spoilers for anybody who is. And then if you take a look at Loki, He Who Remains, again, was trying to stop bad things from happening. Victor Timely seems like a really nice guy that I'd just like to spend an afternoon with. You know? And so it's like... Now, the Council of Kangs, where the Kangs were showing up, I'm like, those guys are cray. Yeah. There's a lot of cray going on there. Mortis cray. Like
too many Kangs.
Too many Kangs. So, but here's the thing. Is Kang possibly a leader of the team?
Ooh.
Could you have a heroic Kang? Maybe.
Sure.
It depends if there's an appeal on the court case.
Yeah.
So looking at it this way, like, you know, Dr. Doom, he's God tier at times. I think, didn't he rip Thanos' spine from his body at one point? Yeah.
In the comics, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, Dr. Doom would be a great villain. Kang would be a great hero. And in closing, I'd like better stories. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Amen.
And just on that point, it's sort of like I was saying, and I think you were we're vibing on the same thing, which is they need focus. You know, it's like they've got some good pieces there, but they're not committing to any of it. And it's not sort of tied in enough. It's too loose. They're throwing too much spaghetti at the wall. Choose your spaghetti and then throw it at the wall. Like, so that's kind of my thing. I know that there's some people who are fatigued, but like you say, I think it's a story problem and where are we going problem. You know, like, I think it's even some fans like that piece you were showing, Tristan, was sort of fans saying like, what is going on? And so I think even the fans now are sort of like, that's nice that you served us up all these characters that we love, these like niche characters like Moon Knight and She-Hulk and stuff like that never get represented. And it's great to see them, but like, why? And where is this all going? So I think that's what people need is the focus and what is happening.
And maybe some better visual effects. She-Hulk, while we're at it. That's a budget thing. And that was apparently that was a victim of swapping the order around. There was another series that was supposed to come out first, or maybe I think they swapped Loki and She-Hulk or something, and they lost 4 months of post-production time, and it definitely suffered on screen. Sorry,
the ending was still really weird.
Though that too, yeah.
So one last thing. I think you guys will both like this. Okay, so we've got Echo, we got Kingpin. Kingpin at the end of Hawkeye suffers a grievous injury. We think he's dead, but he's not. Right. So with Daredevil coming up, stay with me here. Subtitle for that miniseries: In the Land of the Blind, the one-eyed man is Kingpin.
Ooh, there you go. Is Kingpin.
Right? It's good. It's good. It's better than what they're putting out right now. Anyway.
I hope you're submitting your resume to Kevin Feige. Toot sweet. They need a copywriter for sure. Or just writer in general. Yeah. Help them punch up some of those plots.
Can do. I've been working with ChatGPT. Things are going great.
Yeah.
So speaking of punching and or stabbing, let's get to our momentous picks. And Will, your pick here features some fantastic artwork. What is it? What are we talking about here? From whom here?
So this is the new album from DJ Shadow. I'm a big fan. He's been a big influence on me over the years. So this is a title called Action Adventure. Like you, I love the artwork. It very much speaks to that sort of 60s, 70s pulp novel. It's sort of Navy SEALs meets the Hardy Boys. So it's just got that cool retro look. I love those sort of pulp fiction novel covers. So that's a great album cover. It's very interesting. He's known typically for sample-based music. His seminal album is Introducing. That is called Introducing, it came out about 25 years ago. It's still, I think, his best album. This one, yeah, I know. I saw some eyes bulge out there. I know. I feel like I just was listening to it nonstop yesterday, but apparently that was 25 years ago. When I first got it, I was in high school, Tristan. I was listening to it constantly. Big fan of a few of his albums that have come out, but I think this one really is an interesting exploration. I read a little bit about the album, and he really sort of went back to basics. A few of his last albums, he had guest appearances. He was sort of tailoring some of the music for people to sing or rap over. And this time he just wanted to create instrumental music. He just wanted to create music that was focused on, builds and bridges and that kind of thing. It's got a very 70s, 80s kind of synth feel to it. There's a lot of sort of hyperwave type, synthy type 80s sound to it. I really enjoy it. I recommend it. It's probably not his best work, in my opinion. I still think Introducing is kind of like Citizen Kane. It's hard to get away from it, but I think this is still a really good album, and I recommend it.
Very cool. I did check out the first track that is featured on his Bandcamp page for the album. It's called Witches versus Warlocks, and pretty cool. So I look forward to checking out the rest of it. And that's the great thing about Bandcamp is you can actually preview the full versions of all the tracks in most cases, depending on what the artist's preference is there, right on the page and in the app. But otherwise, you can go and support artists with money. Go and buy it if you like it. Good choice there. Gray, your momentous pick this week.
Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Tom Cruise in Ryan Gosling's new I'm Not Ken movie. The Fall Guy series from the 80s. Awesome. This is a return to form. So basically, the Fall Guy is a stuntman who is a little past his prime, a little down on his luck. His girlfriend is directing a movie with their universe's Tom Cruise-ish kind of guy who doesn't do his own stunts. And there's a mystery. From what I can gather, this guy goes missing, and Ryan Gosling has to use his skills as a stuntman to solve the mystery, save his own life, save the other guy's life, possibly, question mark, get the girl, and make bank so they can make a sequel. Looking good. That's all I got.
Oh, so this is not actually out. You've just seen the trailer so far. Is that correct?
That's correct. And this is my pick because I want to see it so bad.
Okay. When is it due out?
No idea.
March 1st.
March 1st. Yeah.
2024. So that will be on our radar for sure. Yeah, Fall Guy, the original series starring Lee Majors back in the 80s. So this is a movie reboot of that.
Before they rebuilt him Faster, Stronger. Or after?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And I think Heather Thomas was in the original TV series as well, the 80s heartthrob. Yeah, this was totally not on my radar at all. So another great pick there. I'm doing a last minute change to my pick of the week, just to keep in our theme, talking about superhero movies, maybe perhaps jumping the shark a little bit. And we surprisingly haven't talked about it yet. I'm just, forgive me while I'm pulling up the page here, and that is we've talked about it when the trailers wrote, but not as having seen it. And I was pleasantly surprised by The Flash, starring Ezra Miller and other folks that got spoiled in the trailers. That I think was a shame, but I guess they really wanted to make sure that they got some people to go and see it. And we had some, another multiverse type story. So we saw Michael Keaton's Batman in there, and maybe some others that we won't talk about, but I had very low expectations, although James Gunn, the director of the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he is basically now the Kevin Feige of DC. And this was one of the last DC movies that preceded James Gunn. One of the other ones being Blue Beetle, which again wasn't bad, but The Flash. I thought it was touching. The effects were amazing. Fun cast. It had some heart to it, and it's a shame because people have talked about Ezra Miller and his own issues, but so we're probably not going to see this story going any further, just since the DC universe is being kind of rebooted. Just back to the whole issue of Marvel and DC. I think, quite honestly, DC's approach has been a lot slower, and in some cases more effective. Like fewer movies, like The Joker, which did over $1 billion for basically a 70s like gritty crime drama, and the Batman, again similar, but a bit more current. I loved it, and we are seeing we've got the Joker 2 with it's gonna be a musical with featuring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn alongside Joaquin Phoenix. So we watched Flash on, did we get the Blu-ray? Did we watch it online? I think we just streamed it online somewhere. But yeah, worth a watch. It was, like I said, surprising. It's not a perfect film, but it made me a little sad that we're not going to be seeing this whole thing continue. But that's my momentous pick. Gray, what is your project this week?
This guy.
Ooh,
That's okay.
that sounded expensive.
32
Trash
steps
can.
32 steps to get to the CMOS battery that's not working on this. Belongs to a friend. 32 steps. 32
That's a lot of steps.
I'm on step 7.
So you've got a 2013 quote unquote trash can MacBook Pro there, owned by a friend, and you're just trying to replace the CMOS battery, which to retain key settings like date and time.
Scroll. So for those of you who are listening, we're going to scroll through this. See how long this takes to scroll. This is that's step 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you get the picture. And these steps are they're not non-trivial. Like this is can't innovate my ass. Phil, I'm going to find you and steal your goddamn lunch money. You jerk, to replace the CMOS battery. There should be a button that I press that flips this thing up. I throw another one at it. It should catch it and it should work. This is insane. There's cables, there's disconnections. And while you're doing this, now put this up on its side and rest it on these 2 little laurels over here. Are you kidding me?
And keep your cat out of the room while you're doing this.
Exactly. And then put it all back together. Looks like that's what happens when you paint yourself into a thermal corner, eh?
I've got a magnetic bin here for all of the screws and individually numbered spaces.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
well, our my favorite Mac technician here in North Vancouver closed up his shop in the summertime because rent kept getting jacked. So Gray, maybe that's the next phase of the career. Doing incredibly frustrating Mac maintenance and repair.
I have a present for you for your collection.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
TBD. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's your project. It sounds like quite the project indeed. Will's got no beats for us this week, but hopefully next week.
Soon, yes.
Soon. Our missing quarter this week, Tasia Custodi has yet another YouTube video for us. I think she's taking a week off this coming week. She's on location doing some work in Vegas right now, not at CES, but some other event for a client. But last week she had a video, new Chrome address bar updates for those diehard Chrome users. You want to, it's a very powerful, flexible web browser. She can teach you how to get the most out of the latest updates to Chrome, especially as regards things you can do from the address bar. So you can find Tasia's work at www.tasiacustodi.com and youtube.com/Tasia Custodi. And then the little side project that Tasia and I do, AI named this show, our latest episode, came out last Friday. AI regulation is Fear the Mind Killer. And again, I get a little bit of joy from choosing titles and graphics to go along with this. A little bit of you guys get the reference there?
Sounds really familiar.
The hand into the
pain
it's box.
Dune.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So we're trying to appeal to movie nerds, pop culture nerds, as well as those who are kind of interested in artificial intelligence. So you can find that at www.ainamedthisshow.com. And also, I will be doing a guest appearance on Daily Tech News Show this Thursday. We will be talking about an announcement from Humane AI. They're more on the Humane AI pin thing that we've talked about previously on Momentous Live. So we'll see what they announce on Thursday, and then you can hear all about it at dailytechnewsshow.com. And you can find out about us here at www.momentous.tv. All right, dudes, we did it pretty tight. An hour 10, maybe an hour 7. We started a couple minutes late.
Keep it tight.
Keeping it tight. Yeah. Love your work and all that. So everyone who may be out there, and of course, William and Gray, we hope your week is truly momentous.